Well, my channel supporter Deadmeat has done it again. It's summer and I'm doing inside jobs because it's too hot for me to be out laying under the 6-wheel drive Land Rover. So he has, without my consent or permission, sent me a couple of MikroTik managed switches. A little while ago, he gave me a bigger one. That I don't know how to deal with getting gifts like this. I'm certainly taken back about it, but crucially these have SFP slots, which means fiber is an option, and he's been at me to try and upgrade my network for a while, and these are 10 gigabit. So most of my network runs through this and then down to a switch in the back of the house that runs in a battery bay. There's no mains power available in there. There's only 12 volt off a solar system. So I've been modifying little unmanaged switches for years with DC regulators to run off that. And this one will run between 12 and 57 volts. So actually, this is an ideal thing to go down there. I can plug it straight in and not actually have to worry. I think I've even got the same socket in there. So this will drop pretty much straight in today. And later on, we can drag one of the old cables through and replace it with fiber and plug in an SFP slot. So, yeah, absolutely. And he sent 2 of these because there is another section of my network that could probably use management. So I am blown back, but we're going to go muck around with these and install them today. All right, we're hiding down by the battery box here, which needs a clean up. And we see a little unmanaged switch hiding in there. We need to do a bit of cleaning up in here, but I can't interrupt the internet just yet because people are using it. What I did want to check is how I've got this wired up, and I have a 5 volt regulator in here. So I will need to make up a connection and probably some spade terminals to attach to the fuse box in here and the negative rail. I might get in here with some zip ties too and clean some of this up. And I need to work out which one was the uplink port in here. I think I've got that labeled as number 4 there with a little yellow tag on it. So we should be able to see where that comes in from the other end. Alright, in terms of finding out where the battery bay comes out, I think I've already done this. Battery bay there goes to a yellow thing on the back of the coupler. If we go all the way down here, under the desk, the yellow coupler goes to this joiner, which goes outside, that goes through the wall, under the floor, and back to the battery bay. And further confirmation, that is tagged with a number 4. So that should be good. I'm pretty sure I've traced that out already. Why knowing the cable that goes down there is important is rather than chucking everything in here, I will be putting one on a separate port that I can identify and using that as an uplink port. Does make a difference. Alright, so the first thing I want to check is what the size of this plug is. Now, it's 5.5 on the outside, 5.5 millimeters, I'm pretty sure. The inside looks massive. But yeah, I could just chop that lead off and use that, which may very well be what I do, but that is wire gauge suited for 24 volt, which will be a bit thinner than the 12 volt stuff. So let me go and see if I can find the correct one. Stopped down at my local J-car dealer, and the right plug is in there somewhere. I brought one with me. I'll size up, we'll get the right one. Alright, we're back in the 4B, and we found the correct parts, so we've got them there. We'll head home. But I've got to stop at the Super Cheap Auto, pick up some oil for the Jeep on the way. Double clutch. Second. Double clutch. Third. We're back off. Double clutch downshift second, there we go. Let's turn in here. Dodge the Jeep, try not to break anything. Thing's expensive. Time to make up a power cable. We have some spade connectors which will go into my screw terminals. I've got 2 of these routers so I can have enough stuff to make 2 leads. Now this is potentially massive overkill for the grade of copper I need, but I don't want volt drop and I just like quality cables. So, alright, bit of blue tack here. And blue tack is a Bostik product if you're not sure of it, and it's spelled blue tack with a U, not a UE. Saves us from being too short of tin. here's our socket. Got our leads hopefully done properly here. We're going to solder in like so. When that solidifies, we're going to solder in from the side here and get it in properly. Hopefully it makes a solid bond. Looks like it's bonded properly. So that's how you do bondage properly, or soldering I guess is the right word. Anyway, let's put the cover on. Right, because we want a bit of privacy here, we're going to make sure it's covered up for modesty, and so that nobody can see what polarity we used. Now, one thing I find is interesting with these things, they've stopped really listing what the polarity is on these things anymore. Oh no, there we go. Down the bottom here, they put it in a different spot. Let's zoom all the way in, and I need a pointer here. This little symbol here denotes what our polarity is, and that would seem to suggest center positive. We're going to flip them around to be sure. That's better. I think I might have had them backwards. That could have had something to do with it too. Now, some of you have probably just watched some of this video, have skipped over the preamble and not looked in the box, and freaking out about not having a fuse. This will be going into a fuse block, so I can put in an appropriately rated fuse into the block. So this lead doesn't matter, it will be fused. We find ourselves inside the data cabinet now. What we're going to do is leave this in situ, the existing router. We're just going to add this cable in to the terminal block, and we will be able to pull one out and do one out and shorten the downtime. Now this guy should just slide straight under the screw here. I can screw you down. What did I put searchlight on? Well, we have another connection there, so let's tuck underneath all these cables. We have a pile of spare fuses in here. What rating are we going to need? 30 amp is potentially overkill. We have a 7.5. That's probably perfect. 7.5. There we go. If we're pulling more than that, something is wrong. Alright, so I got clearance from the apprentice to pull the plug. So now we're going to pull the plug literally. This has a plug on it, this one. It's this lead here. It's PoE in. So we've got 8 ports, so that will go in number 8. And these can go in 1, 2 and 3. And I will probably connect the ground terminal to DC ground at some point. Okay. Now, we'll find our DC connector and make sure nothing blows up. Hopefully we don't. Good, we have a blue light. So we are loose in here for the moment, but I am going to get in with the bracket and mount it properly at some point. For now it works. We're back in service, and I've got to connect to this thing and find the IP, set an address reservation, all that junk. So I've got to configure it now. In the meantime, I will cut old cables out and make the disconnections later, but for now that's in. So basically this is what the update has been: an unmanaged 5-port TP-Link and to a MikroTik. I did read a news article today about TP-Link hardware, particularly routers, being potentially banned in the USA because of the maybe potential deliberate negligence making it easy for Chinese botnets. I don't know what that was about, but still. To give you an idea of how this was powered, we're running it off 12 volts with one of these little Chinesium 5 volt regulators in here that's usually connected to a couple of USB ports. Hodgepodge stuff, but it was what I could afford and what I had at the time. This sort of stuff is much preferred if I can. So now we're going to go and do some config. Okay, so that first one's in and configured. Now we've got the second one. We want to configure that as well. We're going to plug this guy in, and I have off the first one a nice little extra port here that we can hook into here. Now we can just configure this one and set up the address reservation and all the naming and stuff. I would show you how that works and do screen capture, but there's a lot of MAC addresses there and my whole network could potentially be a bit of a security issue. Right, so there is a scheduled downtime for the apprentice, so her desk is vacant, which means I can now replace this one in the corner safely. and we'll get the label maker and we'll label some of these cables while we're at it. We have removed our uplink port, and that is in a pile of messy cables down the side here. So the first one we want to find is plug in our uplink, which I have set to port 8. We'll do that, and let's move the rest of these wires, which we need to move the camera for. Alright, and we're in. It's a little messy in here. We are going to be replacing this entire cabinet, but this is why the file server lives, which needs some work too. So all this stuff will get neat and organized and rebuilt when we do the cabinet, but one thing at a time. We've got only so much we can do in a day. Alright, I was going to make this a screen capture, but I got lazy because life is happening and stuff's going on. I've had a friend that's lost his house and everything he owns, so my priority shifted to helping him. So I'm just going to quickly gloss over this now. This is our 24 port unit up in the rack, and we've managed to identify and label all our devices here. This is the one we put in the battery bay, and it's got everything all connected here. And we have the other one that we've put out in the lounge now. That's the one we just saw a moment ago, and we've got all our devices connected to that. I'm going to show you our network map now. Alright, I used to use Microsoft Visio for this, but I'm using AutoCAD now because Microsoft's tried pretty hard to kill Visio. So we've got a few things going on here. We have our NTD and our router, and that's basically on top of that box. Then we have our 24 port here. Well, there are 4 SFPs, not currently used. We have a UPS attached to all of that, which has got its own battery supply. Now off here we go across to one neighbor. We've got 40 meters of Cat6 along the fence. He goes over to his own router, which effectively creates its own VLAN and also DHCP server. Given this 24 port thing, I could probably do some of that from there. Off in the other direction, we have a 20 meter under the floor. So this goes through to the battery bay where we saw, and this goes to the lounge. Now, in the battery bay, that solar system is piped through to the lounge room. So those 2 UPS units also do run all of that stuff. So that setup can run pretty much definitely, including my server is on that backup. When we go this way, we have the 5 port on the shed, which has not been upgraded yet. We'll do something later. That then bounces through to my other neighbor's place, which includes another 30 meters along the fence. And he's got a mesh link over in his place. So there's a bit going on there. And we have another wireless access point hanging off that one as well in the shed. That's on a pole. This one is another ruckus access point. I need to probably upgrade some of those at some point. But things happen incrementally. But yes, we do have a fairly busy network with a lot of hosts on here. But yeah, at least I've got it all mapped out. I may have one network line incorrect in here, but I will figure that out later. But in any case, I hope this is an interesting video. There's going to be more. I am told that he's actually decided to send me some SFPs and some fiber as well. So there may be a fiber backbone going in, which will be the first time I've actually set up a fiber network unassisted. I used to work for a communications company. We did plenty of fiber stuff, but it was mostly pre-terminated. I never had to install the SFPs. It was all just string this cable and plug it in for us. So this will be interesting to be actually involved in the process of commissioning fiber, and I expect it'll probably be easier than I'm making it out, but that's all a learning process, and that's a lot of what I document on this channel. Anyway, I have to go out and video some Land Rover content, so we'll see you again soon. Hope this was interesting.